Renee, welcome to the program.
Thank you. So recently, my husband has finally decided to kind of confront his childhood issues. He had a lot of trauma, grew up as a child of an alcoholic. His brother was put into foster care. He was not.
Well,
he was
how old is
abused. He was neglected. He is now 44.
44.
He was
And you said
abandoned.
he's finally started to face this stuff. Does that mean that there were
Mhm.
many calls to do this that he resisted over the years, or he just didn't know it was available, or?
Yeah, I mean, he had gone to counseling. He kind of touched on it before, but he never really truly got into it, so to speak. As there were issues that would come up, he went to counseling for a short bit, or we went to marital counseling, and then it would kind of go away, so to speak, because he had enough gumption really to kind of like, essentially white knuckle his way past it.
Yeah.
And now
he's probably
to the point
probably got
where
a kind of a high sense of duty and responsibility.
very much so. He's very much like that. He's an ER nurse, which he's phenomenal at because he's able to work quickly under pressure and
he's
chaos.
used to looking at a lot of blood and doing what's required in the face of it, right?
Exactly.
Problem is this time he's the one that ought to
unfortunately,
be on the table getting worked on. So tell me the question.
right.
What is the question?
The question is because now he is truly in a severe depressive state. He separated from our family and is he's just staying in our camper not too far away, and comes and visits all the time. But
when you say separated, you mean relationally, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, or right now I'm depressed, I think I want to go be on my own?
He's been for the last couple months. It was initially so he could kind of like seek God, figure out what he could do. He recognized even with his counselor, he had gone through, and his counselor's like, he has attachment issues because he was neglected and abandoned as a young infant child.
Okay, but I'm asking, has he separated, saying, I'm separating from the marriage, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore? Or is he saying, I'm getting some separateness so I can work on my issues?
He was originally saying he wanted to be separate because he wanted to work on his issues, was the original thing. That was the thought of the separation. And now at this point, he's like, I just don't want to come back because I don't want to get divorced, but I just don't want to come back because it's comfortable. It's easy for me to be there. And so I'm trying to figure out how to be a wife to him because I feel like his
has he given you he's in therapy now?
Yes.
Okay. Has he would he give you access to, if you said, okay, I'm really supportive of your process here in getting well. I don't know quite what stance to take that's going to help you the most, and also kind of how to be married like this exactly. I don't want to interfere with your therapy. I'm supporting it, but could we have a session together with your therapist so I can kind of understand what's going on and know that we're on a good path? Would he give you permission to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's the stance that I would take, because when I'm a little concerned about something. I'm a little concerned about if he's depressed, he's isolating. That's normally, there's nothing wrong with getting separate to get healing if the process is actually bringing about healing. Okay,
right.
If he's getting the ingredients in the camper of everything that he needs to do. And with therapy and groups or whatever, that's fine. We send people off to residential treatment, all the time. But if he's isolating and that's not happening, then he may be going down a further slide. And I'd want to put a bottom to that. And I think if you enter in and just ask the therapist, is what I'm seeing okay? Is it getting better? Is this helping? Do I need to do something different? See, you may also be the therapist may not have the whole picture, actually. And so that would solve
Well, he
that
did,
problem, as well as you being able to hear how to be helpful. So that's what I would do, because I'm a little concerned that there might
and
be a danger issue here and the therapist needs to know about it.
and that is my concern. I have vocalized that to him because I've said, I don't believe you would ever tell me anything because
Have you asked
you
him?
know. Yes, I have. And he said, no, that's not the issue here. He's just, but I feel like he's spiraling down.
Yeah.
His
Okay.
health is getting
So
worse.
again,
Like
it
he's
just
having,
reinforces what we said. I think if he would give you permission, I'd say, I want to help you. I want to know how to best help you. I want to know how to be married in the best way right now. And so let's go have a session together. That's probably, because what you want to do is there's a delicate balance when people are going through therapy and they start to change the valence and the orientation and the connection that they have, sometimes even with a spouse or family. There's a delicate balance to letting that have its process, even sometimes when it moves somebody away or kind of looks ugly. There's a delicate balance to letting it have its kind of ups and downs, and also not knowing when something's gone off the rails. And so that's what I'm concerned about. And so I think you getting reassured by the therapist, and also you informing the therapist that here's what it actually looks like, that would be a great next step. Okay.
okay.
All right. Thank you for your concern about his healing too. Or I say thank you. I mean, I would applaud that. A lot of times it's hard for spouses to be supportive when somebody starts to get like depressed or pull away or angry when they're metabolizing stuff, because they're going to be a crummy spouse at that time. But
and that's what he's really struggling with. He's like,
yeah,
I don't deserve any reason to be loved. I don't know why you want to love me.
well, and that's
what he said.
exactly. But
And
that's why we want to make
that's the
sure.
depression talking. Right.
Well, it's also the transference of his past, and it's
Yeah.
also the
Right.
enormous opportunity for healing that somebody steps into that vulnerable state that he's been running from. And you only get healed when you're vulnerable. Somebody steps in and says, you don't think you're lovable? Watch this. We're going to love your socks off, even when you're not performing. And that becomes part of it. But that's where I think you need to kind of work it with a therapist. Okay. Got to get some other callers, but I hope that's helpful to
Thank
you.
you.
And,
Thanks.
and there's a term, from the old, this has been around for years, one of the best terms. Oh my gosh, is what happened in the world of psychology where they lost. Don't get me started. Don't even get me started. In the last 20 plus years, the depth orientation that of looking at a person's developmental path and where they come from and the issues inside and all of that has so gotten downplayed, because the insurance industries and all the academic researchers that all of this, all we do now as an industry, right, or a lot of the emphasis in industry, very short term, very, stabilize somebody, change their thinking. And we're talking about what is needed is depth healing in people, not just, 6 sessions to change your thinking, even though it's very important, totally validating that, totally worthwhile. Go do it. It's very, very, very important. But sometimes people need a deep, long-term healing. And there's a term from that whole body of thought, which is where I come from in support, and it's also validated by research. There's a term, and I want you to learn this term because it's important to your healing. It might be important to your marriage. It might be important to understanding your kids. And here's the term: regression in the service of the ego. Very technical term. Regression in the service of the ego. What does that mean? Regression means kind of, I'm going backwards, right? I'm becoming more dependent than I was. I'm getting scared. I'm in pain. I got hurt and traumatized, and then I got out of this pain, but now all this pain. Well, it's like doing the remodel in a house. Yeah, it's messy when you do a remodel. Try to live through a remodel. Live in the house while you're remodeling your kitchen. We did that. It's not fun. But it's in the service of building a new, better kitchen. And a therapeutic regression is when somebody who has unresolved dependency needs, and they've gone hyper independent for 46 years, but that's finally starting to break down, or they never faced the trauma they need to face, or they've never faced their family of origin issues, or they've never faced abuse, or they've never faced whatever. To regress, to get worse for a time period in the service of getting well is a very important thing. Very important thing. Really, really important thing. But it really has to be managed well. It's like surgery. You don't want a surgeon that right in the middle of the surgery goes, "Oh crap, he's bleeding, oh no." You don't get scared just because there's a skilled surgeon would expect that, right? And know how to cauterize it, and know how to to sponge it and all that stuff. That's to be expected. When I'd work with people in a depth orientation, you're going to see some tears you didn't see before. You're going to see some dependency. You're going to see some chaos. That's fine if you're managing it well. What's not good is when somebody goes in a regressive spiral and nobody's holding the marriage together, nobody's holding their work together, nobody's making sure we're going in a good place here. It's like a separation should be in the service of putting the marriage back together, not just separating. So very, very important issue for a lot of you. If your spouse starts to get a little goofy because they're in therapy, that may be the best thing possible, but it may be not. And so that's where it's good to know that this is going to a good place. Okay, there's my rant. I just really believe, I really believe in depth, character change in people. I really believe that, and I really believe this, and there's so much great hope in this, that people can change at fundamentally very deep ways. That somebody that's never been able to be dependent and vulnerable in a good way and achieve intimacy can do that if the right kind of work is done. That somebody that's never been able to have boundaries can do that if the right kind of work is done. And I just really believe in deep transformation, but it takes time and it takes work. And our society, and even sometimes, the industries built around this are so short-term oriented that we just want to get well in 3 sessions, or just, I just want to change my attitude and feel better. Well, that's great. Wonderful. I support all that. But sometimes we need some, we need some surgery. We need some deeper work. And that's just a good thing. It's just a good thing to repair what went wrong in your life, even if that's going to take some effort and some time and some resources and some investment to do. I believe it. I believe in it. I believe it's worth it.